Luckily, none of you guys asked questions that I would have to spoil, so here we go. Hello my beautiful geekies, thank you so much for all the questions you sent in. They are all great, they are all amazing, I can't wait to answer them. I want to give you this video because I just want to communicate about my piece a little bit more, and you guys seem to enjoy it so much, and I am so thankful for it. I mean, it was an overwhelming positive reaction to the short film. I just want to let you guys in a little bit more on what it is, how it got started and everything. And it's an overwhelming feeling that I get inside thanks to you guys. Not only because you liked the film, but you were so interested in knowing more, and your questions are so insightful that I wanted to give you this as a Christmas present. But the fact that you guys even asked anything is a present to me. So thank you so much. Let's get right into the questions. Okay, so the first batch of questions comes from Newt, and he asks, how much time did it take you to write the first and second books? The first book I wrote in one summer, but this summer took like from May till September, 4 or 5 months almost, because I had this idea and I still had to process the ending. And when I knew how I wanted to end the first book, I started to think how to get there. And that's actually one of the problems I'm having with the third book. I know I'm going to end it. I'm still having a little bit of trouble processing the whole journey till then. And these are books that get more and more tragic with each story. The second book, actually, it was another summer. It was actually last summer, and I wrote in about a little bit more time than the first one, not only because it's longer, but I had to process even more characters to be added into the story, and for you guys, if you ever read these books, not to miss some of the characters that are not in all the books. Kind of spoilery, but not all the characters that are in the first book will be in the second one. The spirits and the masters, they are not always the same, they shift a little bit. About 5 months for the first book, about 9 months for the second one. How much of the story in percentage is in this short film? It's just the first chapter, because if I was to adapt the first and second chapter, the ending wouldn't be so gripping and it wouldn't be able to be qualified to be presented in my university, because it had to be till around 15 minutes. And I wrote that first chapter and I actually chopped off quite a little bit, scenes of dialogue that would have added to the characters, but on the long run, in the context of that short film, it wouldn't really add much more. And the movie actually ended up being much shorter than it needed to be, which actually made me kind of sad on one hand, but on the other, it gave me a whole new appreciation for adapting source material into film. For instance, now looking at comic book movies and movies based on novels, I can get a different appreciation and understand sometimes how directors or screenwriters adapted some parts and not others. For instance, if I ever watch The Hunger Games again after writing Voyager, which I haven't done, I will get a new appreciation because I've read the books. Even books I haven't read, I can see where directors and screenwriters are coming from. So only adapt what is absolutely necessary. If something is important in the book, but for instance in the context of that short film, it doesn't add much or anything at all, you can easily chop it off. What inspired you to write this story? I know about Fate, but what else? Real life, honestly. Fate was mostly the context in which these characters would find themselves, but something that happened to me in real life was what inspired me to write these characters, who they are, where they find themselves, how old they are, the relationship each of them have. It was a tough time for me before I wrote this book. It was a time where I became this complete detestable guy. If you've seen my collateral beauty review, that guy would probably do some things like what those people did, and I completely lost myself. I couldn't find anything in life to grab myself onto. Even friends who were there for me, and I didn't see it at the time, I was an asshole, trust me. And through their help, I was actually able to rejuvenate myself and become a better version of the person I previously was. And then I wrote Voyager actually in a way to thank them and to tell this epic story that my friends, my personal friends who know about my situation, they knew what I was going through. They know I like these epic fantasy stories. They know my love for comic books, for Star Wars, for fantasy, and I just wanted to give them this. But yeah, real life is mostly what you'll see in Voyager if you know my story. Do you have characters inspired by people you met in real life? Yes. All the characters in that novel are close friends of mine. Mia, Fran, some characters you don't know in the short movie but are in the books. There are Tara, there is Leia, which is also a tribute to something else, duh. We have Jace, we have Blair, we have Ronan, and those are just the masters. The spirits are a whole different conversation. Does the story have a character that is actually you? Like that theory that Stan Lee plays the same character, the Watcher, in the MCU franchise. Well, I also believe that theory about Stan Lee, and yes, Ryan is me. I based the character Ryan on myself and on my situation and on who I am as a person. You see this guy, he's completely devoted to his friends. If his friends are ever going through a tough situation, even if it's not his fault, he will blame himself. That's how he is. So that's why I chose myself to play the part of this character, because honestly, I'm not the best actor in the world, but I couldn't trust anyone else to play that part in the context of this short film. So I pulled a Ben Affleck and I wrote, directed, and starred in the short film. Why Voyager and not Enterprise? Actually, I had no idea when I wrote Voyager. I wasn't never a big Star Trek fan. I only know the films. Only when I started to explore a little bit of what was before those Star Trek movies, I found out there was a Star Trek Voyager and a Star Trek Enterprise and a Deep Space Nine and all those things. But yeah, the first book is called Voyager and that's it. The second book will not be called Enterprise. That one is called The Voyage Home. How did that symbol came to you? Is it kind of random? Or does the shape itself have a meaning to the story? That symbol came to me because I wanted something like to symbolize each of the category of the spirits. For instance, Hunter is the spirit of the archer. He is good at throwing things exactly where he wants to throw them at. He doesn't exactly use a bow and arrow, but you get my point. That symbol came to me. I took the inspiration not only out of this tattoo, but also I took it out of many of the symbols that you see in Full Metal Alchemist, that they are like this circular thing with many symbols and many acronyms to many things. And I just wanted something that fitted anywhere. And I mean, you could draw it as a symbol on the walls or on the floor, you could have it as a tattoo. And what we did for Mia in the short film was that it's not exactly a tattoo, even though we had to tattoo it on her, it was more of a scarification, and that symbolizes that she was the one who got the most powerful spirit. Hunter is not the strongest spirit because he is an archer. There's a little bit more to that, why he is the strongest spirit. And I have to thank my art director, my big bro, because I don't know how to draw. And so I had to ask him, because he knows Full Metal Alchemist, and he knows Fate, and he knows all these things, and he understands my thought process very well. I asked him to draw anything, everything he could, as ideas, and he doodled a bunch of stuff that we were like, I like this, but it's still not it, until he came up with the arrow and the red dots all around, and then we drew that piece on the floor, because we also wanted something that we could draw easily on the floor with dust or with chalk, and that the actors could do it easily on screen as we were filming it, because we actually filmed the whole process of them drawing the full circle on the floor. But then in the short film, that part would have been kind of boring if we would have shown everything from point zero to the end of the drawing. Are the books centered through the eyes of Ryan, or was that just to help the story in a short amount of time? Like, are the books actually centered on Mia, or do you try to balance the protagonism of each character? The first book is actually told in the first person. Ryan is describing everything. You see everything through his eyes, and there's a reason why that is in the end of the book. But the central characters are actually all the people around them. That's what I wanted. I wanted to have this character tell you a story, but what he wanted to really tell you was the story of every single other character. And that's why he's always there, and you almost connect to him the most, but he never takes away from any of the other characters. The second book, however, I wrote it told in the third person. There's no one taking the protagonism. There's a central character or a central relationship there, but no one takes away from any other character. That's one of the toughest challenges I had writing the books, but that's something I pride myself in accomplishing. Does me as Hunter have a past that will be revealed to us? And he wrote something else in the question, which I will not say right here. I don't know, you have to read it, because it might be the same, it might not be the same, it might be completely different, it might have some things that are the same, it might have elements of it, but it might not mean for the characters, for the story, exactly what it meant then. You said you won't bring romance to the story, but pretty please, in subtext, look, I am traumatized by romance ruining movies or taking away from them. So there is no romance in either of the books. I mean, there are relationships there that you can take in subtext that two characters could end up together or they like each other more than they lead on, but no one is ending up with anyone. I just wanted to tell this story because I give great value to friendship. Both the characters and the people they were based on are very tied to groups up until this day, so I didn't want to take away from that. And even characters that I add on later were very good additions to said groups, so I didn't want to individualize any two characters and create new relationships, because you fall into the danger of taking away from the other relationships happening in the story. But as far as the third book goes, maybe, who knows, there's actually something there in the ending of the second book that could lead into a romance, but I'm just going to say none of these characters end up in a good place after what they go through in these stories. How long did the production of the short film take? Well, it didn't take long, because it couldn't take long, because we had 1 semester for pre-production, production, and post-production. So come January 1st, 2016, I start to write the first chapter into a script. Throughout several weeks, I start to rethink it and doing other drafts for said script. In the same week as I'm doing that, I start to announce the castings and trying to ask help for people to come and join the team because I couldn't do this alone. Then 1 week later, I have to rethink another script, another draft, and as I'm doing this, I have to think locations, scouts, and then I have to arrange the casting and casting dates and shooting dates so I can communicate to the actors when they come in for casting. Then I have to be on casting and still communicate with my supervisor what I want to do with the story, because none of the teachers except the screenwriting teacher ever supported me in telling the story, because this is not a very Portuguese film. And so everyone was against me except the people on my team and except my screenwriting teacher who helped me through the drafts of the film. So as far as shooting itself, we went to one location on a Monday and we had to shoot it in 1 day, and we did, but the problem is we had shitty lighting on the set, and then we had to arrange another day, and so we came here to my house because we couldn't waste time finding another location and asking permits and whatnot. We had to come here. We shot it here in 1 day as well, from like 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. the next day. We got it done 1 day, and then we went to post-production, and that took about 2-3 weeks because we had to get special effects and then the credits, and then we had to ask for sponsorship for the movie to go on several places, and then we ended up having a partnership with Anyplay, and we played the film on there. We had a little Q&A session also there, which was really, really fun. And until this point, that's the only screening we had of the movie, so far at least, but I'm looking forward into getting the movie played somewhere else. So if you know any geek stores or anywhere else that would want to play this film, I'll be happy to show up on there for the people to see, and then have a little Q&A session as well afterwards. If you could give an estimate on a date for the future web series, how long will we have to wait? I don't want to give an estimate because I don't want to promise you guys anything and disappoint you. What I can promise you, even if it's not a web series, and I'm not even talking about when I make it to Hollywood and whatever, we are not thinking about that in the immediate sense, I promise you guys will see the continuation of Voyager. If it is a web series, if it is a couple of short films, if it is a full-length film, I don't know. I can promise you, you will see it. That's the only thing I can promise, because I don't want to tell you guys this is when it will happen, because even if I get the team and we get to shooting and then we have to add the special effects, I don't know how long that will take, because I want it to look good. I don't want it to look shitty, because the special effects you see on the credits and on the film, those were not the first special effects we tried. We had to try and try and try to make it look good. So I want to make it look good for you guys. Have the story mean something, we still have to adapt the second chapter and third chapters and so on and so forth into scripts, and we have to arrange arrange dates and locations, and then we have to cast the rest of the characters, because there are a whole lot more characters coming in. And so what I can promise you guys, again, is that you will see it. I am fighting every single day for you guys to see it. I can't promise you any dates. You will see the second chapter, at least. From Bupias, what was your favorite part of the production process? Actually, it was the shooting. I loved the shooting. It was stressful, quick, we had to move fast and do everything very fast, but it was fun. And if I ever direct more films and the shooting is not stressful, I mean, it might be mentally healthy for me to get out of the shooting and have it gone smooth without any problems. But then you will have no stories to tell. And that's the worst thing that could happen. I mean, I consider myself a storyteller. That's why I like to write film, write books. That's why I like to shoot films. That's why I like to direct. That's why I want to be a director. We are all, as human beings, we are core storytellers. If you don't have stories to tell from your set, then you just say, yeah, we shot a movie. Done. I want to have stories to tell. As much stress as it puts on you, as angry and as sad, if you don't feel any conflicting emotions during the shooting of your film, then you have no stories to tell and it will be just plain boring. Was it hard to be an actor and director at the same time? Yes, it was. When you're being just a director, you can be hands-on, eyes on everything that is going on in front of the camera. But when you're not an actor, you know what you are going to do, but it's a completely different vision when you are not behind the camera looking at what is being shot, how it's being shot, how everything is going, because you are looking at the other actors, you are interacting with them as a character as well. They are doing their job very well, in fact. You still have to pay attention to so many things. Even if you were just a director, you have to pay attention to so many things that then as an actor, you double the things you have to be paying attention to. So yes, it is stressful, but again, I have a story to tell, and come the end of it, it feels nothing but gratifying to know I pulled off this task. Who helped you most during the course of the project? From starting a pre-production to end of post-production, it has been my girlfriend. I know that's why she asked this question, but it's true. She was the one who told me, tell this story, tell this story, tell this story. Even when I first doubted that I could make even the first chapter into film, she was the one that told me, do this story, it's your story, do this story, and it will come out a good film. Because maybe she listens to what I say about when you have passion for something and you do it passionately, it will come out very well done. And so she believed in that, she believed in me, and maybe that's the whole reason this project went ahead, and it's done, and we can move on to the second chapter. So I thank you. What did you want to show with a story like this? With a story like this, as in the short film, I wanted to show off that fantasy films can be good, and we don't need to make Portuguese films all the time, and that we can still have great performances with great actors, with characters that feel real in the context of a single short film. As far as the books go, I wanted to show a lot of stuff that I cannot divulge right now because that will lead into spoilers. And from A Vida de uma Fruta comes a question, did you change a lot of the concept until the final product? As I said, I adapted the first chapter, and I did not change a lot. The book itself, the first chapter of the book into the final short film, I only cutted a few lines of dialogue, I only cutted a few elements of how the characters came into the picture, how the story started, because I was going to start with Ryan standing at Mia's front door at the gate. She opened the gate, he came into the door, he entered the house, they sat down. No, I just started the film right there. They are already sitting down, they already had a conversation, they are feeling a win on the conversation. Then I was going to have a whole scene of Ryan running away and then coming back, but that didn't fit right there, again, in the context of the short film, so I just left him there and him doubting himself. And again, he's so devoted to his friends that when they go into summoning the spirit, he first said no, but he then looks on and he says, no, I'm going to at least watch this. I want to see what happens. As far as the first idea that then went on into being the books, I didn't change a lot. That was the first idea I had. I had the ending. I knew how I wanted the characters to get there. Then I started to write and it all came flowing into my mind and then into my fingers and then into my typing and into the word Microsoft. But those are all the questions. Thank you so much, guys. It was really gratifying. There are no words to describe how satisfying this was to answer, to have you guys send in your questions, to tell you a little bit more about the books, the film, the characters, what I could tell you. I would be up to do this again if you ask me. Let me know in the comments if you ever want me to make another video about Voyager and whatnot. Thank you for this gift you gave me, guys. 516 subscribers in the first year. There's still a couple more days till New Year's, so let's hope we grow up a little bit more. This meant the world, guys. The short film being put on YouTube, the overwhelming positive reaction, and now this. Having you guys send in questions, it was so great. Thank you so much. And tomorrow is Christmas Eve, but I will still bring you a review. I am reviewing the Korean film Train to Busan. I have heard a lot of good things about this. I have a screener, and I already have my last screening for the year on Wednesday. That is for Bleed for This on the 28th, but I will still have movie reviews every single day, and I will still have movie reviews every single day starting January 1st, because I'm going to wait to do my top 10 best movies and the top 10 worst movies of 2016 after I watch Assassin's Creed and Manchester by the Sea, because we are only getting in 2017. But it's the 5th, and I'm hoping to get to see both of them before that, so I'm just waiting a little bit longer. So if you like this video, give it a like and share with your friends, and if you want to know more about Voyager, go to the Facebook page, the link is in the description, and ask more of your questions, and if I have enough of them, I will do another video, just because I love you guys. And also subscribe if you haven't, enjoy the beautiful geeky community, where we can be geeky united! Once more, my beautiful geekies, you guys are the freaking best. Have a merry, safe Christmas, and I'll see you tomorrow on my review before you all get your gifts at midnight. Stay beautiful, stay geeky, shit!